These are one of these late night conversations that I don't understand why I be thinking about shit like this. I promise y'all, the way my mind works, it plays fucking tricks on me because I'm a psychology major, and everything that I think of is psychology. It's just the way the fucking mind works. Like, I just don't fucking understand it. Like, okay, so boom. So boom. I'm thinking, boom, this man doesn't like me. He doesn't want to be with me, da da da. But I'm like, Kaylani. 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 I think that I really do place a wall at where I stop with niggas. Like, I really do. Like, it's like I can't go no further. But you have to realize that relationships are mirrors, right? Relationships are mirrors. If you don't communicate, you don't communicate. And also, you can't believe in fairy tale love sometimes because sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes you have to look at things in a different light. And I swear, sometimes I just need to like get out of this bubble. Like, bro, what? He read it. Stop lying to me, Apple. Anyways, so I was thinking, right? This is how where my brain was going, right? So I'm thinking about the situation, right? And I'm giving myself a clear mind because, like, during the day, I don't think about it. I only think about it at night because, like, after the whole day of me thinking about it and, like, really seeing where I feel about it, it's like, okay, like, where do you actually feel? And at the end of the day, I realized I need to apologize. So I apologized. Because regardless if I wanted to pursue this man or not, in my spirit, I felt like I was wrong. I should have held my tongue. I shouldn't have said things that I didn't mean or necessarily meant, but like was trying to say it out of intention to hurt the person and out of anger. And that's not okay. Like, it's not okay. So I had to realize, one, my wrongs and my mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to realize that, hey, I haven't been living in this way and this purpose. And like, it's okay to be angry and make mistakes. It's okay. You have to give yourself grace. One is the biggest thing, is giving yourself grace and realizing that you're human, and sometimes you're gonna sin. And that's why Jesus died for our sins, because he knows us. He knows that we're human at the end of the day. And even though our love for him is so great, he knows that we're human at the end of the day. And you have to realize you are human. And so this is a relationship with yourself as well, because I realized, like, I became more graceful when I realized I was able to make mistakes, because I was so like stuck in this perfectionism. And I feel like perfectionism is the devil. If you are such a perfectionist and you want everything perfect, it's just the devil on your fucking back, honestly. Because let me tell you, my perfectionism was so bad. I would used to write on a piece of paper. If I didn't like my handwriting, I would throw a piece of paper away. But it was little strict things to that detail, and I would never succeed because I'm always falling behind, trying to be perfect, you know. And at one point, I realized, like, you can't. Perfectionism is the devil, because you're trying to be perfect and you're trying to get this perfect image, but there's no such thing as a perfect image. And honestly, whatever you create is beautiful, and it's in its own way. And so when I realized that excuse me, when I realized that I was trying to operate in this space where it was just like I had to be structured, perfect, no mistakes. Anytime that I would fall from that expectation that I had, I would beat myself up. I would beat myself up about it, because it's just like, how would you let yourself fall like that? You know what I'm saying? And you have to realize, like, there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as doing everything a perfect way. Perfect is a utopia, okay? Perfect does not exist, honestly. Everything is beautiful in its own way. It's nature. And this is where I think of earth, and like, and this is where my earth sign energy comes, like my grounded energy, because everything is connected to me. And when I think, honestly, when I think of earth, and I'm really like really in tune with, my body and nature now. As for before, I wasn't. I feel like I was so out of touch, but now that I'm like getting back to my soul and realizing who I am as a person and my emotions and what I'm doing to others and how I'm affecting others and how I'm affecting my own earth. Because when you think about it, Earth is one giant planet, right? But when you think about it in your mind is just one mind out of a million, like, and then also your mind has okay, so when I think about it, your mind has its own sky, its own sunset, its own horizon, its own sunset. What's the next word, Kaylani? I can't even think about the word when the sun comes up. That's sad. That's sad, bro. But like, your mind has its own version of how the word is, right? And so you're honestly, this is why I'm gonna be honest, this is why I want to name my son Earth, because Earth has such a beautiful meaning to me, just for the simple fact that Earth isn't a beautiful planet. It does things entirely on its own, like, and I feel like Earth has its own emotions. It rains, it's sunny, it snows, it hails, like, and there's different seasons. Like, it's always changing, it's always evolving. Things are never the same. And I feel like that's kind of how it is with humans in the world around us. And I feel like that's the way our brains are. Like, honestly, I feel like we're our own tiny Earths, if you be honest. But that's why I want to name my son Earth. That was just a little tangent. But anyways, like, when I was back to what I'm saying, like, we have our own tiny universes within the huge universe. So when I think of psychology, I think of that, and so everything's really connected with the psychology. So that's why I'm really a really big like stragger on like studying psychology, because it's just how the way I think, honestly. But anyways, I forgot where I was in that story, the moral of my story, but it's just like, I think one thing I had to realize with myself is taking the time and energy to work on myself and bettering myself, because if you don't better yourself and you're stuck in the same place, you'll never grow. And I think one thing, God has placed so many like some desires on my heart that are bigger than me, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest, like, at first I was actually struggling with the desires that I had on my heart from God, because they're not something that they're like, it's not something that is common around my age. I mean, it is, don't get me wrong, there is couples my age getting married, but nobody around me that I know at 21 is getting married. So the fact that I have a desire in my heart to get married is a little different from me, because there's no one around me that's married. Everybody that's married around me is older, like my mom, my dad, like they're both married to other people. And I'm trying to think, is there anybody else married that I know of that I'm around every day? Yeah, like, the biggest things of marriage for me is like the two like images I have of marriage is my mom and my dad's marriage, and their partners. But other than that, I can't think about it like on the top of my head about who's married. But God has put a desire in my heart to want to be married and have kids and be a mother. The biggest thing being a mother. And I talk about it with my friends, but I never really talk about it with myself, because when people like my friends, I talk about my friends about it, they kind of be looking at me like, you're crazy. But it's something that's been like I don't know. It's been something that been instilled in me since a kid. When I was 9, my little cousin was born. That was the first infant I've ever taken care of, and I would help my grandma, like, feed him, change him, and for his first couple years of life, like I would just like play with him. Like sometimes we would fight, and he would beat me up. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like my cousin used to beat me up. I'm not gonna lie, but he used to have. I'm not gonna lie. He used to have fun. So like, it wasn't where I was abusing him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was safe. Like, I think now looking back on it, I probably won't do that with my own kids. Like, I won't let my own kids beat somebody up just because of the aggression. But like, my first cousin Caden, like I watched him be a newborn and turn into this 12-year-old that I just don't even recognize now. But like, it's kind of insane. Like I used to bathe him. I used to change him. I used to feed him and rock him to sleep at the age of 9. And then at the age 11, my cousin Raekwon and Carmen Ray was born, and I helped I would change their diapers here and there, but I wasn't as involved with them as I was with Caden. Even though like they were around, but I wasn't. I was kind of like, I felt like I was going through. I was in middle school, so I was kind of more like in middle school then. But like when my cousin Caden born, I was in 3rd grade, so I was at my grandma's house a lot, so I was just involved with that a little bit more, and I would just help my grandma. And it was it takes a village, so I would always if I had I was at that point I was helping where I could. So I have experience with raising younger like cousins and siblings, because when my little brother was born, he was born when I was 13, and of course, like I was just instantly like in love because he was a newborn, even though I was just like, wow, this tiny human's my little brother, and it was just like amazing. But my mom did have complications from giving birth, so like I think I don't remember, it was a week or two, but like I was with my little brother for more like about a week, just taking care of him at home while my mom was in the hospital. And that was like 8th grade year, and it was just like, and I would, there's things that I learned back then or I didn't know back then that I know now. Like for instance, like when my little brother's was born and my mom was in the hospital, I slept with my little brother next to me, but I always was like, I knew he was right there, so I didn't roll over, and I couldn't sleep. I just knew I couldn't sleep because he was right next to me and I didn't want to like roll over. So I would always like wake up, here and there just to make sure he was okay. I would check on him to make sure he's breathing, and stuff like that. And, I also still too, like knowing about like baby sleeping in the crib and then, having SIDS and stuff like that. And I always would check my little cousins to make sure that they were breathing too. And that's something I always check with like any baby that I'm watching. I always make sure they're breathing, because that scares the living crap out of me. Like, I would scare me if I came to, I'm watching, a sibling, a cousin, my baby, and she or he's not breathing. Like, that would literally scare the shit out of me. Like, I always make sure when I'm watching an infant or a kid, they're breathing. But for sure, my little brother. But I didn't know back then that you're not supposed to sleep with your baby. So I don't know. It's kind of like things I'm learning over time. But let's see. I'm trying to think. My little brother was born, and then I'm trying to think. Was there any other babies after that? Mason a little bit. I didn't take care of Mason like that. I feel like that was really it. I mean, and then I haven't really taken care of any babies for like real since my little brother. I feel like I've held babies and stuff like that, but I haven't taken care of one and been involved since my little brother was born. So yeah. I also have kind of experienced like the pregnancy with my mother, and now that the things that I know about pregnancy now compared to then, I wish I would have treated my mom better, because I just was so at 8th grade. Like I was in 8th grade, no 7th grade, 8th grade, and I was late every single day. And it was just frustrating because I would be missing material in class, and it's just like I'm scared I'm not gonna graduate. But it's like my mom she's pregnant, and she's carrying a kid, and her body's just on like overdrive, like. And it's just her body's changing, and I didn't understand. I just didn't understand the things she was going through. But now that I'm older and I kind of see it I've kind of experienced like you know, women getting pregnant around me, and I'm kind of like learning more as my body grows and I understand how my body works. I understand this is like how I understand it now, and I just wish I would have been more. I wish she would have like, I don't know what to say. I wish she would have communicated more. I wish I would have asked more questions about what she was going through about at the time. Like, what does it feel like? And I just, growing up, I wasn't really connected with my mom as close. Like, I wasn't as close with my mom as I felt like I should have been. We don't really like. We're not as like, we talk every day for the most part, but we never like, our conversations never are like close like that, where it's like we talk about feminine stuff, like it's just, though, pregnancy was never one of those conversations that me and my mom had. So like, everything that I know about pregnancy is just what I've learned just by research and stuff like that, and also just experiencing her pregnancy. I've had, a few cousins pregnant. I've been pregnant, yeah, and so I've kind of like over time like kind of learned about stuff like that. But God really did place in my heart to want to have be a mother. Don't know when. I'm not in a rush for it, but when it happens, it will happen. And I just want to like say that it's just like, honestly, I feel like it'll happen when it happens. Like, I'm not in a rush. I'm not going to say anything about it. Honestly, it'll happen when it happens. I don't know why God placed this in my heart at 21. I have no clue. I know I'm young. I understand that I'm young. But I literally have no idea why. And I don't know. The only thing I can do is really plan. Like, that's the only thing I really can do is plan. The only thing that I can do is plan. Like, God placed that on my spirit. It wasn't me. Like, as much as I've been trying to run away from it, don't get me wrong, I have prolonged it as much as I could. Like, I have prolonged it. Like, I have, like, I'm like, I'm not active. Well, no, I'm not gonna lie and say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna lie like that. At this point, I'm not forcing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, in some days, I was like, okay, like, whatever. But now, it's really up to God. Like, it's God's timing with everything in my life. But I don't know. Like, He kind of placed it in my heart, and that's just, yeah, that's God's business, not mine. I can't argue with God's business. Like, that's just how it is. I don't know why He placed it in my heart at 21. It's still sometimes, it's shocking to me too. I'm not gonna lie, because I am pretty young. I am 21. Like, I'm 21, about to be 22. And I hear things like, you have your whole life ahead of you, don't have kids until you're 30, da da da. And it's just like, I have those thoughts, but then it's like, this isn't my life. And this is what, and it's God's timing. So whenever it happens, I feel like that's in that right moment, it was meant to happen. So yeah. The only thing I can really do is prepare and become the best version of myself, and just continue to work towards my goals. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with this conversation, but I was kind of going on a rant because I was just like, I was starting my child psychology class, and I really am excited about this class this semester because, for the simple fact that the child psychology class, I didn't remember I was taking it until today. When I went to, like, I was like, okay, like, what classes am I taking? Because I just registered for classes, and I just knew there were psychology classes, and I just didn't remember which ones I registered for. But child psychology is really going to help me as far as, like, the questions I've been asking myself and asking the internet about pregnancy and stuff, and, like, the womanhood, and, like, the actual, so I think it's called matrix sense. I don't know what the word is, but it's actually like the process between being like by yourself, like me right now, to motherhood and being a mother. I don't feel like that's talked about. And I think also it's talked about on the father's side. And yeah, I don't think it's talked about. And I don't think that it's not a really topic that I haven't really hear about, like the transition between, the times between, when you find out you're pregnant to the time your baby's born, that process of becoming a mother. Because essentially, yes, you're growing your baby, but there's a process, like, like there's also like a transition. It's not a split of a moment second that you just realize, oh, I'm a mom now, I'm a dad now. It's something that's a process, and I want to like to know more about that process. That's a psychological um things that's happening during that process. I really would like to know about that type of stuff. um I don't know, I'm tapping into my interest with psychology a little bit, but those are things that I think about because it just helps me understand. I think one, psychology helps me understand people a little bit more because I feel like for a long time I've been blocked off, and then just like emotionally, like it helps me understand people. It just really helps me understand others. Like I don't think that I will be able to understand others if I didn't study psychology. Like I just feel like I would be stuck between psychology and God. I feel like I would be stuck if I didn't have either or. But that's something I do want to study, is like the process of becoming, like being single, and not just being single to being a mother and father. Because I think it's a spiritual process. It's something that's a psychological process. It's something that's naturally earthly, like something that shouldn't be taken lightly. And I think that's something that I would want to research a little bit more, have a little grasp of before I enter that stage of life. Whenever God decides, I wish this would stop popping up. I'm sorry, but whenever God decides, I want to be prepared for that process. Like I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I would like to know what's gonna happen, like the things I'm gonna go through. I think that's just something that we should be aware of. So then you really know what exactly to expect, and it's not like you don't know. You can't like you of course you can't prepare for your body to be out of whack and throwing up in hormones and stuff like that. But in a sense, if you kind of have an idea how to prepare your body's psyche, I think that you have a little bit better chance of controlling your body during this change in this change. Yeah. And I think also, like, I've also been getting into the study like of your menstrual cycle and what it means on a psychological level, because I don't even feel like getting this conversation because periods are so deep. Oh my god, oh my damn god, like periods are so deep, and I just don't want to get into conversation about periods because it's just a lot. And I just have been trying to teach myself how to honor my cycle, how to really honor it, because society has really shaped us into believing that we shouldn't have a cycle, and having a cycle is bad, and being in pain is bad. And then I don't take medicine anymore. So when I'm on my period, I deal with every period cramp that I have. Like I don't take pain medicine anymore, honestly, because of the simple fact that it's unhealthy. Two, it's at some point I got immune to like Tylenol, and I wasn't able to use Tylenol. Like, I would still feel the pain, so I had to stop using it. And three, it's just not natural, and I feel like more ick with it. So yeah, I try to avoid taking medicine as possible. I don't know, I kind of started that in the last year or two. Yeah, actually, because I took my birth control out in 2021, and I was on the pills, and I stopped taking the pills. And so when I started getting my periods, I think I would take stuff, but I would only take stuff it was like unbearable type. But I've had pretty painful periods, like periods to the point where I gotta get in the shower and lay on the floor and let the water run on my stomach. Like painful to the point where I'm in the bathtub soaking in hot water, because if I don't, I'm not gonna be able to pay. Like I can't bear with it. Like I have to find ways to like cope with the pain, because I'll be ready to take myself out, But I feel like that's another way for me to like pain is just mental to me. It's something that I can get over. Yeah, like period pain, I try to like push through it. I try to like do what I can. I use the heating pad, but I don't like taking any medicine. I use sometimes yoni oil to help. Like the lavender helps a lot, and the clove, and I think it's cinnamon. But I try to stay natural now with that type of stuff, just for the simple fact that I just didn't want to be dependent on medicine for period cramps all my life, because then it's like when I need it, when I'm really in a lot of pain, say if I have a headache and I need to go to sleep or something like that, I can take some medicine and then won't not work, whatever. But I've been learning how to do that. I also, with my periods, like the last couple of periods I've been struggling with, but like being around people on my period, like I'm like also working too. I don't like to work on my period, because the simple fact that my period's really painful, and it's a time that I'm very, very, very vulnerable. And there's been a few times where I've had a period and I've like seen myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, like you're really a woman. Like you're really a woman. Like you could look so good one day, and then today you're on your period and you don't look that good. But that's okay, because you're a woman and you know that you're really in pain, and it's okay. But yeah, like I've been trying to honor my period a little bit more too. I don't know, I can't tell if I'm about to start my period. It feels like it, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I think I am. I can feel like the cramps kind of starting. But yeah, that was my little almost 30-minute rant of psychology. I just need to like get that out, because I just feel like I'm so like psychologically smart, but like in some aspects, like emotionally, I'm not that smart when it comes to emotions. Like psychologically, I can make so much sense. Like things can make sense connected, but like emotionally, I can't control my emotions, and I have to learn how to do that. But I think that's another psychology thing, because because me not knowing how to control my emotions is actually something that stems from feeling neglected. Also like feeling like I didn't stand up for myself in the past, which I've always sometimes held my tongue for things. Like now, I think in one situation I was in, like one relationship I was in, I held my tongue and I actually internalized the pain that I was feeling. And since I did that, it made me feel worse than what I actually was. Like it made me feel really bad, and it took me a while to build myself back up, because I had just like internalized everything that I was going through, compared to just speaking up for myself and like not allowing that person to make me feel that bad about myself. But now, like I've noticed that since I was on that side of the spectrum, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum now, where I just speak my mind with no filter, and I say whatever comes to mind just to make sure I feel heard. But then I have to realize like there's a balance between the two, because you can feel heard and say what you want to say, stick up for yourself, but also be polite, generous, and not saying things to intentionally hurt someone else's feelings. Because the same way that this person over here on the left hurt my feelings, I'm hurting this person on the right. And it shouldn't be where I'm hurting anybody. It should just be me speaking my truth. So yeah, I just feel like I have some lessons that I've been learning for 2023, honestly. Some really big lessons. And hold on, my scalp is itching. I've had some big lessons for 2023 so far, and I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, 2023 has been like it's been more peaceful than 2022 and 2021 combined. Like it's only been like 2 weeks, but like I've dealt with some emotions, but in every situation that God put me through, I've learned a lesson. I've been productive. I've been learning lessons. I've been reflecting. And it's just like, I'm doing a good job. So I want to keep this up. And I also want to challenge you, if you're watching this video, what are some ways that you can better yourself, you can improve yourself, or you can like challenge the way you've been previously thinking. because some old patterns are not going to unlock new doors, and I think I had to realize that too, because God placed it in my heart to want to be a wife and a godly mother. And me, the same Kaylani that I was in 2021 is not going to make me the godly mother and wife that I want to be in the future, so you have to change some things. And I realized I had to change some things in my approach, and adapt some new principles and values, and kind of not reinvent myself, but in a way, yes, just become a better me. So yeah, that's pretty much my TED talk. I'm gonna finish reading a psychology article and I'm gonna go to bed, because lately I've been waking up at 5, 6, 7 a.m. Well, I'm not gonna say lately, but yesterday, that's what I did today, and I want to keep that up. So I'm gonna finish doing the reading for whatnot that I was reading, and I'm gonna go to bed. So yeah, thank y'all for coming to my TED talk. Talk to y'all soon.